So hello everybody and welcome to this flight from London Gatwick to Manchester in this 787-8. We are currently cold and dark at Gatwick at stand 13. First thing we need to do is just switch on the ground power. So if we go up here, we'll see that ground power is available because we have it connected, we just haven't got it switched on, so we just switch that on, and we also just put the battery on. It will run through a few checks, it will switch everything, all the displays on. You'll hear the stick shake, you'll hear a few alarms going off, that's perfectly normal. So those are all the things firing up. We're connected on the VATSIM network, so we will have air traffic control with us very shortly. Need to switch it on and just get a few things sorted out first of all. Okay, so first thing we need to do is we need to let's just put some lights on so we can see what we're doing a little bit. So put some panel lights on, which are just down here slightly. Put the dome light on, panel lights on, the glare shield lights on. We also need our nav light on, which is on already. And one thing that takes a little while to set up is the IRS. So we've got IRS up here, which is our inertial reference system. So it's basically how the plane knows where it is and what angle it's at and various other things. So we just need to switch them on first. They take about 6 minutes to calibrate themselves. While we're here, we'll just switch on the in-flight entertainment set, the cabin utility. Work down this first panel. We've put the APU on standby. The APU is not switched on yet, but it will come on once we've got it switched on there. Coming down here, put the we'll arm the emergency lights. Put the flight deck door power on. Window heat. We'll switch all the hydraulics on, so we'll just be on standby, ready to switch on when we get full power from the engines. Just put this one onto auto. This one onto auto, and these two onto auto. Leave the passenger signs off for the moment because we've not fueled yet. And the next panel, cargo fire, test the fire alarm, which is working fine. And we'll switch the fuel pumps on. Again, they don't actually come on until we need them to come on, but it's just they're on standby at the moment, and we'll just switch the de-ice off for the moment. And the last panel, humidity, we want to put that on, the humidifier, we want to put the cargo temperature on auto, air conditioning, equipment to cooling, put them on auto, electric fans on auto, and then our left and right packs, which is to do the air conditioning, and our trim air we'll put on also, and this one's already on automatic. So if we just look at the display here, it tells us that we've got 187 seconds to go before we have alignment of the IRSs, and until that happens you'll see that these displays are blank. It's not showing us any heading, it's not telling us where we are. Another thing we just need to do to set up our position is we'll just go to the FMC, which is over here, and we've got a position. So this is our GPS position. We just need to copy that into here so the aircraft knows where we are, and we also just need to tell it which airport we're at. So we're at Echo Golf Kilo Kilo, which is Gatwick. Put that into there, and so once this timer's countdown and got to 0, then we'll have full reference to where we are, GPS location, etc. Okay, while that's all doing that, we can load a flight plan. So we have a flight plan that we have already prepared, so we're just going to click on request. In fact, we don't need to do that because I've got a new way of doing it, so let's go back to route. We've got a company route that we're going to put in, which is PAW6 Delta Echo, which is our call sign today, and then it's EGKK to EGCC. Just put that into there. We should get a flight plan, which we have. I'm going to activate that, and we can just look at the route that we've set up. Okay. So the route that we've got is direct to Lambourne, which is is a waypoint, and then we're taking the airway N57 to Welling and the T420 to Trent. So the very beginning of the route and the very end of the route haven't been defined yet, and that depends on what the weather's like, what the runways, which runway is being used. So from the ATC, so let's just bring up the ATC for Gatwick. I'll just request it there. So that's our ATC, and if we look at that, it's telling us that runway in use is 26 left. So we can go back to our routes page, go into departure and arrival, select departure for Gatwick, and we're going off 26 left, which is over here, and then this is giving us all our SIDs, which is the standard instrument departure routes, and we're going to use the Lambourne 1 X-ray route. And click execute. So now if we go to our route page and just look at the second page, so you'll see our displays have now become alive. So just go to our route. You'll see now that we're going direct to the first waypoint, and then we're using the Lambourne 2 X-ray SID to get to Lambourne. We won't set our arrival yet because we're probably not sure, but we'll. Our last waypoint is Trent, which is Tango November Tango, and then we'll set up our route into Manchester from there once we're airborne, and we can check which runway is active at Manchester. Okay, so the next thing we need to do is our performance setup, which if we go across to the electronic flight bag over here, we can go into dispatch. And first thing we want to set up is our fuel. So this is our block fuel from our flight plan. So this is the flight plan that's designed specifically for this aircraft with the specific weight and everything else on passengers. Is block fuel is £23,368. So we'll just round that up to 24 to make it a little bit easier. So 24 tons. So we want to split it into two halves. So we've got equal bits in each wing. So we're just going to put 12,000 in each wing. So each tank is 31% full. Middle tank is empty because we don't need that one, and we can set fuel tanks. And in terms of our passenger numbers, we've got 28 business class seats, and they're full today, so we'll just put 28. And we've got 198 passengers in economy. Okay, so set payload. So we just activate that payload. So we've set fuel tanks, we've set payloads, we now go back to the menu and we're going to performance. Okay, so some of this information we've already programmed over the other side, so we can just copy the information from the FMC. So we're leaving Gatwick, we have 26 left. Conditions currently, it looks like it's raining outside, so let's just put that the runway is wet. And if we also just bring up our FMC at the same time, just go back and look at the ATC again, so we need some information from here. So we need the winds. The winds, surface winds are 240 at 5 knots. 240 at 5 knots. Outside air temperature is 6 degrees, so we've got that in there, so that's good. And QNH is 1015, so we'll put that in here. 1015. Our QNH set. We're going to use 5 degrees of flap, and our thrust rate we're just going to put to optimum. Okay, so we've put all the information that we can in there. Click calculate, and then it works out our takeoff speeds. Okay, so we copy all this information now back across to the FMC because that's what actually controls the aircraft. So we just click send output, click on send to FMC, click complete, hear a beep, and we have to accept that data that's been sent to it. So there's a few things on here that we have to input into the other aircraft controls. The main one is V2, so 143 for the V2 we need to put into the FMC. I've forgotten what it said already, let's just go back down there. 143. So this is our speed, so we'll just put that to 143 knots. So IAS is indicated airspeed. 143 in there. The heading on here we want to be roughly around the same heading as the runway. We want to be exactly the same. So it's about, we're on runway 26, so it's going to be about 260 degrees, but I think it's about 258 or something like that. I can't remember exactly. It's about desperately important just now. And our altitude setting we need to set to 6,000 feet because that's our initial climb to Lambourne, is to 6,000 feet. ATC may give us different instructions, in which case we can change that altitude, but for now 6,000. There we go. Okay, so while we're here, we've programmed the flight details so we can put our flight directors on. We've got 2 flight directors, and we also put the auto throttles on and arm them. Okay, so they're not active, it's not going to try and make us go at that speed right now, but it just means they're armed and they're ready to be activated when we tell the aircraft. QNH is 1015, so that's something we need to program over here. We need to change it, and then 1015. Okay, so we're at 1015 hectopascals, which should give us an altitude of about 220 feet at Gatwick, which it does. The last thing we need to do, which we have on the CDU here, is the trim, which we need to set at 3.75. Now the trim display is over here. So it's this in green is what we are currently, and the 3.75 is what we need to be. So we just basically just trim. I'm going to turn in the trim wheel until we get to 3.75. Fuel quantity, you'll see there I've got 12 tons in each of the wing tanks, nothing in the middle. Okay, we've fouled our plan, so we probably just need to get clearance now. In fact, let's just open the door and let some passengers on. So let's just open the front door, put the cabin lights on, and we'll let some passengers on. While the passengers are getting on board, we'll contact the ground frequency at Gatwick, which is 121.8. So we just need to put 121.8 into our radio. Okay, so 121.8 standby frequency, and then we'll just flick it over.
Romeo, read that correct?
So a few things we need to just know before we contact ground to get our clearance is we need to know the ATC number again. So the ATC reference is Yankee, Gatwick information Yankee. Gatwick ground, speedbird 6 Delta Echo, radio check.
Speedbird 6 Delta Echo, Gatwick ground group, 45.
Roger that, speedbird 6 Delta Echo, stand 13 with information Yankee, aircraft type 787-8, requesting IFR clearance to Manchester.
Speedbird 6 Delta Echo, import Zulu, currently cleared to Manchester, Lambourne, 2x departure, Squawk 3372.
Cleared Manchester, Lambourne, 2 X-ray departure, Squawk 3372, speedbird 6 Delta Echo.
Speedbird 6 Delta Echo, read that correct, Airbus EG174, Romeo 12, com 122, that's right, thank you very much for your chat message.
Okay, so I'm just going to disable the ATC just for a second while I set everything up. Okay, so it gave us a squawk code which was 3372, so we just need to put that into our transponder code, so 3372. So that identifies us to ATC. We also just need to put the transponder mode to ground radar. Okay, so we have our clearance. We'll go through the checklist in a second, but before we do that, what we'll do is just put the APU on. So the APU is the auxiliary power unit, which is basically the aircraft's own onboard generator. Because currently we're connected to ground, so as soon as we disconnect from ground, we'll have no power. So we'll just pop this on. We'll just need to click it to start and let go of it. If we go to our systems page and go to the electrical bit, we'll see here that currently we have ground power connected, and the APU is currently starting up. So you see the little green spiral in there, tells it's starting up. So once that goes green and the lines to the aircraft go green, then it means that we can disconnect ground power. The other thing we need to just make sure is that we've got the parking brake on, which is here, so just flick that on. Means that when the engine's
Pre-flight checklist.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome aboard this flight. May we remind you that all seat backs and tray tables...
So while the lady's talking, I'll go through our pre-flight checklist. Oxygen level, oxygen needs to be tested, so we've got oxygen at each side. Just press on that one to test it, that's working. That one's working. So we can take that. Flight instruments, heading and altimeter, so we already set that here. We've basically set 143 for V2, we've got 258 for our heading and 6,000 for our altitude. So that's fine, we can click that, we've got the parking brake on, and we've got the fuel control switches to cut out, so there's no fuel going to the aircraft, to the engines at the moment. Okay. We've had clearance. They're all fueled up, we're sort of ready to go. I'll just check the status of the APU, see whether it's actually come online yet. So see there, we've got full green all the way from the APU, so that means we can now remove ground power. So we just open the little controller and take away power and the wheel chocks as well, because we've got the parking brake on. And we'll close the door, and we'll just let the lady do her spiel.
Before start checklist.
And we'll do our checklist while she was talking.
Ladies and gentlemen, we have just closed the main cabin door. All personal
Okay, so flight deck door is closed and locked. Passenger signs we need to be on because the door's closed now, and so passenger signs need to be on. MCP set, so set V2, heading and altitude. We've already checked that there.
Standard reject procedures. Will the part be at a SID?
Takeoff speeds, we've already established V1, V2. CDU pre-flight has been checked. Taxi and takeoff briefing has been done. And last thing we need to do is just put the beacon light on. Just warn any ground staff that we're ready to start moving. So we just put the beacon on. There we go. So that's our before start checklist done. Okay. So we can now get permission from ATC to do our pushback and start our engines. So I just need to go back to Gatwick ground. Just wait for a second to make sure nobody else is talking. We don't want to interrupt anyone else. Okay. Gatwick ground, speedbird 6 Delta Echo stand 13, ready for push and start.
Speedbird 6 Delta Echo stand 13, push and start approved, face west.
Push approved, face west, speedbird 6 Delta Echo. Okay, so we're going to push back to the west, which means we're going to put our nose to the right. Okay, so what we'll see is that we're at the end of a little cul-de-sac, so we basically need to reverse, and tail needs to go to the left. So we'll start pushback and then we'll start the engines. One thing we are going to do actually is just put the taxi light on, so we'll just stick the taxi light on. I just like to do that so that I'll put the logo light on, it's getting a bit darker now. And we'll get a message from ground to say that we're okay to start the engines. So we'll start
starting engines.
So we're going to start the right engine and the left engine simultaneously, and we just need to pop the fuel on, which is down here for both sides. And we just need to watch because the pushback doesn't stop automatically, so we just need to stop it when we've roughly got where we need to be. So the engines are starting up now.
Before taxi checklist.